Hi, hello, how are you? Good morning, metalheads of the internet, and welcome to a brand new episode of the Metal Meltdown. Today we are talking about the latest studio album from Respire entitled Hiraeth? I'm not sure. It's one of those things, or maybe none of those things. I don't know. I'm an idiot. Let's move on. This is the fifth full-length studio album from this self-proclaimed post-everything collective hailing from my neck of the woods in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. They've built up a bit of a cult following of sorts within the Canadian underground rock, alt, and metal scenes, and it has been a joy to watch them evolve and expand upon their foundation and their sound as time has gone on. I first came to know them truly in 2020 with the release of Black Line, but since then I've gone back and checked out like a vast majority of what they've done, and I feel pretty comfortable saying they're one of the most unique and compelling voices within Canadian rock and music right now. Their music is consistently very introspective, contemplative, and cathartic, and filled with emotion, and it meshes a variety of ideas and ingredients from indie rock, post-hardcore, post-metal, post-black metal, screamo and blackgaze, a lot of orchestral elements as well, flutes and brass horns and strings and glockenspiels, and everyone contributes vocals as well on top of that. Think Death Heaven meets Godspeed You Black Emperor meets Broken Social Scene meets Gracian, and I think you're kind of, sort of in the right ballpark. Kind of. That feels right. I wasn't sure. As I said it in my head, I wasn't sure, and as I said it out loud, I was like, no, that feels right. That's fine, actually. This, quite frankly, is one of the only albums that was coming out in this month, July 2024, that I was actually really excited to sink my teeth into. I mean, don't get me wrong, it was cool to talk about Seth and Wormed and Vulvodynia, but, like, this was something that was, like, really actually on my radar. Like, this is probably one of my most anticipated albums of the whole summer. I was really looking forward to it. And now that I've listened to it multiple times and I've spent a lot of time with it, and, you know, it's probably out soon. It might be out by the time this video is released. I'm not really sure. My release schedule's been a little fucked up as of late. But the point is, it's here, or at least nearly here, and I'm happy to tell you this is a fantastic record. Maybe Respire's best to date. Maybe one of the most unique and compelling records that you'll hear this month from, again, one of the most unique and compelling voices in Canadian rock and metal alt music right now. Everything that defines the Respire sound and aesthetic and experience has been refined and evolved and advanced to the next level. There's a lot of heart and weight and urgency to the story and background of this record, as well as it deals directly with the immigrant experience. As a press release states, the album serves as a tribute to those who have uprooted their lives and their families in search of hope and a better future. It also serves as a cautionary tale to those who remain complacent, falsely secure in the privileges of their illusory societal positions. Hiraeth is a manifesto of the immigrant experience, a call for all of us to embrace our shared humanity, awaken to the fragility of our existence, and confront the crisis we face collectively before it's too late. You've got the opening number, Keening, which initially starts off on a somewhat jagged, uncomfortable, unorthodox kind of note. It has these very spastic exchanges and these plodding rhythms and strings and orchestral stuff in the very beginning. It can feel somewhat anxious and uneasy, almost as if it doesn't want to be there. As the track goes on, though, things start to feel a lot more fluid and cohesive and whole. You have these explosive kind of post-black metal sections. You have these very quiet, tender, spacious sections where horns and woodwinds and strings really take over. And the song's eventual peak and climax and resolution is incredibly satisfying, chock full of emotion, bound to pull on a few heartstrings here and there as well. Then there's the match consumed, a much more abrasive and bitter cut, probably one of the most full-blown, like, blackgaze, post-black metal-ish cuts on the record, with tremolo riffs and blast beats and high-pitched, screaming, shredding vocals all throughout. Strings and flutes can be heard throughout these more extreme sections, but they only just barely kind of cut through the darkness. Eventually, the track transitions into what I guess we can call blackened indie alt-rock. I don't know. Here's what I do know. I really enjoy it. It reminds me of something I might have heard on Ordinary Corrupt Human Love from Death Heaven. Loving these lyrics as well. I mean, there isn't a lot here, but it has this very poetic flow and feel to it, and I think there's a lot of different ways to kind of interpret what Respire is saying in this cut. It kind of reads as somebody being maybe a little bit ashamed and guilty and angry at being an immigrant and leaving their home country. It kind of feels like somebody kind of just trying to survive in a new environment, in a new world. It feels like somebody struggling with the concept of this potentially newfound freedom. As the song writes, "This farce, our freedom, a freedom to consume, never enough, never mind, the scars we leave behind, our kin paranoid and addicted. Treading water on this sinking ship, lambs to slaughter, can you outlive it?" Then there's Distant Light of Belonging, which somehow makes a fusion of post-hardcore and blackgaze feel really powerful and triumphant and anthemic, with a lot of emotional high points and soaring choruses and melodies. Laughter can be heard in the very beginning. Horns and strings and flutes swoon and swell all throughout, and you even do have these very cold and harsh blasts of full-on black metal that simultaneously still feel very uplifting as they coalesce and merge with everything else. Right after this too, First Snow carries a very similar energy and momentum, I would say, with a few more tender, delicate sections which give this a little bit more warmth and heart. Like, listening to this song, I suddenly have like an image in my mind, almost a full-blown memory of like being back kind of in my hometown, watching the snow kind of fall and being sad and being miserable and feeling lonely. Then there's Voiceless Nameless, which just sounds like heart-wrenching desperation, with blaring horns and agonizing, anguished, high-pitched screams and roars and shouts and even guttural vocals. It's almost misleading, too, because you have these isolated horns in the very beginning, which makes this thing sound like it might start off on a more inspiring kind of note, but by the end of it, it's just somber and depressing and cold, and I just feel like a little lonelier and a little worse having heard this thing. The star of the show ultimately, though, is the double whammy set piece closing out the album, Do the Birds Still Sing and Farewell in Standard. It's equal parts beautiful and depressing, with some of the most emotionally charged and chaotic and explosive post-black metal and blackgaze on the entire record. Love how it transitions to, quite seamlessly might I add, into a more mellow kind of emo acoustic rock ballad of sorts. It ends this whole thing off on a warm, bittersweet kind of note. Production-wise, I'd say that everything is like damn near perfect. Everything is just so well balanced. It can be really heavy and noisy and aggravating, especially with some of these dirtier, almost kind of garage rock kind of riffs here and there. But, you know, everything is still allowed to be very tender and soft when it needs to be. I will say on my very first listen, I did kind of feel like maybe around the halfway point, things were starting to feel a little samey. Respire do a lot within their formula, but it is nonetheless a formula, and it is one they tend to use over and over. But on my second and third and fourth listen, as I continued to dissect and explore, this was less and less of an issue until it really wasn't an issue at all. I'm feeling a very strong 4.5 out of 5. This is a very emotional record, very well produced, very well made, very unique, very exciting. Probably the closest I've come to giving a 5 out of 5 score all year, might I add. I just think this is a wonderful record, damn near perfect, damn fucking near. It probably wouldn't appeal to everyone because of the weirder combination of sounds and styles, but it's nonetheless a record that I would recommend to almost everyone, at the very least a lot of people. I just love it, man. It's deep, and it's dark, and it's inspiring, and it's unique sonically and conceptually, and I just think it's an incredible fucking record that you need to fucking check out. 4.5 out of 5, once again, damn near fucking perfect, a truly incredible record. Do not fucking sleep on this. And that is it for the Metal Meltdown. I am not an expert, nor do I claim to be. So what do you think? Do you like this record? Do you not like this record? And what do you want to hear from me next? Thank you for watching. Make sure you press subscribe. Look, there's even more videos here. Join us on Discord. And as always, you have yourself a fantastic fucking day.